who takes hold of your right hand and says to you, do not fear, I will help you. Now notice this. As I finished reading, Josh looked up at me from his hospital bed. He then proceeded to quote the next verses from Isaiah 41:14 through 16. To me, from his heart, do not be afraid, O worm Jacob, O little Israel, for I myself will help you, declares the Lord your Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. See, I will make you into a threshing sledge, new and sharp, with many teeth. You will thresh the mountains and crush them, and reduce the hills to chaff. You will winnow them, and wind will pick them up, and a gale will blow them away. But you will rejoice in the Lord and glory in the Holy One of Israel. At that moment, I realized that Josh Heller was more than a faithful young man who had grown up in our youth group. He had become a man of God. He wrestled with the forces of hell and remained faithful to the day he died. I am proud to have been one of his pastors. I believe the Lord said to Josh, well done, good and faithful servant. Enter into the joy of your master. Love in Christ. Mark. I echo that. I believe that too. We're going to see a video now. Excuse
me. I caught myself looking in the mirror, wishing I was someone else. 'Cause I was born with this bleeding heart and veins of loneliness. And I've known it, I've held it right here in my arms. But love can't seem to break me down. And I've pleaded and begged and bloodied my eyes just to feel it, to believe it'll stick around. Swing wide the glimmering gates. Swing wide the glimmering gates. And I told myself that the habits and secrets were just to get me through the night. I got lost in a world of angles, in a city of grays and lies. 'Cause I've known it, I've tasted this longing to be free. Oh, the joy of believing like a child. So you there listening, will you send up a prayer for me to help me find the light? Oh, swing wide the glimmering gates. Leave your pride in vain. Swing wide the glimmering gates and be innocent again. Innocent again. Oh, swing wide the glimmering gates. One day I believe
stand with me if you would. I'm going to chant what we call the Shema. The Shema is from Deuteronomy chapter 4, and this is the hallmark of our nation Israel and our people, and for many Jewish people, this is the last thing they said before they died, and it's something that we do every Saturday morning in our congregation. So it sounds something like this. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one. Blessed be his name, whose glorious kingdom is forever and ever. You may be seated. Except for Alan and Polly. We're going to call Alan and Polly up, and they're going to share with us for a few minutes.
For those of you who do not know, this is our dear friend and brother, Highland Slobodkin,
I'm going to go down.
who came down from Seattle with his wife Rita, who is sitting here in the first row. We love them dearly, as did Josh. You'll probably be hearing a lot of similar things about Josh today, but these are some of my thoughts. Josh was a complex person, intelligent, witty, insatiably curious, generous to a fault, scattered, disorganized, downright messy. Yet he knew under which pile to find the scrap of paper on which he'd written someone's phone number 3 years ago, and he always intended to call that person. Other than myself, I can't think of anyone with more good intentions than Josh. He was perpetually compiling lists of things he was going to do, with no possible way in which to accomplish them all in one lifetime, which is why I've been saying recently that Josh really should have been at least twins, probably triplets, though I don't know how I could have possibly survived more than one of him. Josh always loved action. We moved to California when he was 3 weeks old. A couple weeks later, we drove to Laguna Beach, where we got out of the car and stood on a cliff overlooking the concave sliver of sand and surf. The wind was blowing and the waves were crashing on the beach, and Josh gulped the air and waved his arms in excitement. He always loved the ocean. So I thought that when we moved to Phoenix, he would love swimming pools. But no, I think they were too still and boring for him. But puddles were a different story. He would go out of his way to jump into a puddle, and he couldn't pass any body of water without having to throw a stone in it. When Josh was about 18 months old, I purchased a little box of magnetic letters and presented them to him one at a time over the next few weeks. By the time he was 2, he was reading street signs. He loved information. Alan and I bought a set of World Book encyclopedias when Josh was 8 years old, and it was love at first sight. I can see him now, as I did so often then, lying on our living room floor, surrounded by several open volumes, cross-referencing some topic and filling his mind with a seemingly endless supply of facts. Anyone who talked with Josh for any length of time knows that he knew something about nearly everything. In his mind, Josh was destined for greatness. He wanted to be a hero.